Hi, this is John Farrell of Gaming Friend here at Gen Con 2023 with Daniel D. Fox, the creator of Zweihander, which has a new starter set coming out. So we've had a pretty great resurgence of 80s aesthetics and
Yeah.
mechanical design, which Zweihander is kind of right at the forefront of.
Yeah.
Is that purposeful, or are you just in there at the right time?
Definitely purposeful. I grew up on, I grew up on D&D, like way back in the day. And I always loved the gritty black and white aesthetic of like early Dungeons and Dragons. So that was a big drive for it. But also, I also like very rooted, like games, not like high fantasy, but like rooted like the human experience. So Zweihander was kind of the answer to that.
If you don't know, Zweihander is, it's the idea, it's a D100 sort of retro clone, arguably, with a lot of mechanics based around low fantasy. Magic can contain insanity or corruption. There are a lot of fear effects. It's really good for gritty tactical combat, but also you've got to think your way out of situations because you are going to be very, very squishy and you can die rather easily. And it's an interesting space to design around because you want people to have fun with the game, but you also want to make combat fast, make it impactful. There's a lot you need people to be thinking about while you're working with it.
Yeah, I mean, here's the big secret about Zweihander. It's actually not a deadly game at all. It's actually more about like surviving your injuries, because something that's more exciting to me is not character death, because that can ruin a story. What's interesting to me is like, how does your character deal with the moral aftermath of committing these like really bad things, and then living with the psychic impact of losing a limb, or like having some sort of like injury that persists. To me, that's more interesting for storytelling than just simple character death. So if you're ever wondering, is Zweihander is a dangerous game? It's actually not. It's the illusion of danger, like Dark Souls, right?
Well, and you get the issue where if you're playing a game where you're too powerful, your decisions don't matter anymore because they don't have any consequences.
Yeah.
And then you notice your players slowly start to not care, and they don't really know why necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one thing that I think it really stands about Zweihander too, is that we wanted to emulate that experience of like, even when you're quote high level, like things still feel like a challenge. Like it's a game where, six well-armed peasants can still take down a very heavily armored knight. And that was kind of central to our core game designs. We wanted things to still feel dangerous, and that every fight was pitched like a pendulum.
You've got the new starter set out. Is anything else coming out you want to make sure people are keeping an eye out?
Yeah, so starter kit, it just came out about 6 months ago, and we have another book coming out. We haven't announced yet, but it's going to be based around medieval gang warfare.
Interesting.
Yeah, so like dark fantasy medieval gang warfare in a city not unlike Venice. Yeah.
That's fun because then each gang can have their own aesthetic, their own weird.
That's right.
Powers. It's sort of self-generative for storyline.
Think of the movie The Warriors. Like take the soapy betrayals of The Sopranos, merge it with The Warriors, and then use the Zweihander game engine or the Year Zero engine with it, and it's kind of created this interesting kind of black magic, we think. And we're bringing that next to the Zweihander world.
Because the only thing that the Warriors didn't have that it needed was dark magic.
That's right.
It almost did if you watch that movie.
So Warriors come out to play as like a chant, right? Yeah. It's no, my co-writer Adam Rose is working on it as well. We've been playing Gangs of Gehaber at my own game table for probably 14 years, but we're now just deciding to bring it to actual published format. We're super stoked about it.
That's an interesting design process. Were you intending to eventually bring it out for the table, or it's just happened at a certain point?
All games, in my mind, start in the basement, right? We never had any intention of turning Zweihander into a commercial product, but it became one. And Gangs of Gehaber kind of is doing the same thing now. It's like it's our home game we've ran in the basement, and now it's like now we can actually show the world this really cool thing. We think it's cool, and hopefully it really resonates with people. Because I don't think it's really been done yet. And that's the intriguing part.
No, you'd have to hack something else pretty aggressively if you wanted to get to that point. I guess it's the fate of all tabletop games where you homebrew it enough and eventually you might as well just publish it.
That's right. I mean, that's the beauty of the industry, right? Like we can take our own games, and I'm a firm believer that every dungeon master is a game designer. The first time that you write a house rule or a line on a napkin or whatever it may be, you're now a game designer. And what a beautiful world. Like, we're here at Gen Con, and everyone here started the same way. It's like we were all just playing D&D in our basements, then did this for a living. We do this. It's amazing. It's incredible.
Well, and the variety we have now is just even in this one booth,
Yeah.
the range of this covers. Mothership is great. I don't even know what half of these are.
John Cutter and Mars is fantastic.
And beautiful. I think I read that right when it came out.
Merrick Borg. I mean, it's a really cool aesthetic. You have all these very different games that have started from the same place. They started like at our home game tables, and that's incredible to me.
Yeah, it's giving a real nice outlet to new artists who can do whatever kind of work they're good at, because the tabletop gaming space is expanding and it's allowing for new aesthetics and new stories.
Yes. So, as the kids say, it's all about vibes.
Yeah.
And lots of vibes at Gen Con this year. I love it.
And a lot of times the vibes are having a horrible infection.
That does happen sometimes, yes.
Hopefully not from Gen Con.
No. Can I make one quick correction?
Yes, sorry.
So in Missouri, we call it Zweihander, right? Or Zweihander is whatever we call it. So I'm just, mispronunciation is totally off brand.
The problem is,
Zweihander.
Zweihander, yeah. Yeah.
So a lot more coming out in the future. Excited to see what you're able to put out there. Your new game coming out. Keep an eye out for it. It's going to be exciting. There's going to be a lot of warriors and darkness. And you want more news about this, any other games, keep an eye out for Gaming Trend. We're talking to a lot of people at Gen Con. We've got more content coming soon, and we're excited to talk to you about it.